Would like it to be known that this meeting will be recorded and used for all purposes of blackmail, extortion, and bullshitting. And with that, let the 2024 Commissioner League debate begin.
All right.
Kash, you have the floor.
Welcome, everyone, to the debate of the first ever commissioner elections in our Glen League baller history. You know, we're heartbroken over the departure of our previous commissioner, Rudraksh, but also standing on the brink of something exciting. The future of this league is wide open. We got some strong contenders ready to step up and carry the torch as the next commissioner. Today's debate is about finding the leader who will forge a new path, push this league to even further heights. And without further ado, I'll go over the format of today's debate, okay? So each of the candidates will give a 30-second outline. They can introduce themselves and talk about their platform. And then I will ask one question to each of the candidates, followed by audience questions. Once that's done, candidates will have the opportunity to ask each other a question. And then we'll go to closing statements, and that will wrap up the debate. Okay, so we'll let the newest candidate start off with their introduction. Surya, you want to go ahead?
Sounds good. Thanks, Akash, for the introduction. So yeah, as you all know, my name is Surya. I am a fantasy sports enjoyer. I have played fantasy football. I've played fantasy soccer. I am currently playing fantasy baseball. So very much into the swing of all things fantasy. I have experience organizing augmented reality games. I have experience organizing scavenger hunts, several trivia games. So I take the role of managing a kind of like a league for fun, pretty seriously, but also understand that it is always just a thing for fun and games. So definitely looking forward to present my unbiased perspective on this league.
Thank you, Surya. Anish, you want to go?
Thank you, Akash, for that amazing introduction. Fuck you. Ladies and gentlemen of the Glen League Ballers, I come to you today as your next fantasy commissioner. It is but 1 week away that it'll be official, but you will know it as fact at that point. As we look to the next season, it's clear our league needs a commissioner who embodies trust, experience, and commitment to our league. Now, we do have two very valid candidates here. I will give you that. Surya here, very much a fresh perspective for the league that we very desperately need. Yet somehow I feel that the commitment isn't proven. He hasn't been part of the culture of this league for long enough to stay in touch with it. Ashwin, on the other hand, has had his run as fantasy commissioner, and it's been an absolute disaster.
Fake news.
It's been full of corruption,
Incorrect.
changing scores, doing whatever he wants with impunity. This is not the league we want.
All right, let's try to keep it within 30 seconds.
With that, I'll close it out because it sounds like our moderator, our supreme leader, is telling me that it's time up. And yeah, I appreciate your time, and I hope to earn your vote today.
All right, thank you, Anish. And last but not least, let's give it to Mr. Inala.
Thank you, Akash. By the way, Akash, you're looking very good today. Is it new moisturizer? Also, thank you for the soliloquy, Anish. Almost 2 minutes sleep. So, I'm Ashwin. I've been a fantasy team owner for 10 years now in the Glen League Ballers. The league manager nominee from the Make It Eat Great Again party. Great to be on this platform. And my platform is very simple, 5-point plan. Number one, we're gonna cut down crime. We're gonna cut down corruption. A lot of corruption in this league over the past couple of years. Number two, we're gonna close our border. We're not gonna let people who don't have experience in Glen League run for office. I don't understand that. Number three, we're gonna have a FAB department that's gonna be made up of accountants and auditors, just so we know there's some clarity with the financial transaction that's going on in this league. We've had issues with that in the past. Number four, we're gonna have mental health check-ins, right? I know we don't want our team owners to get burnt out. So as league manager, we're gonna have 1 to 2 week, maybe once, every month or so, just check in with the team owners to see how we're all doing. And since we're the Make It Great Again party, my fifth proposal, why does Adit need to run the website by himself? There's a lot of burden on Adit. He's a very busy man. He's about to get married soon. So let's split up that burden of running a team website within all the team members here and share the load.
All right, thank you, candidates. Great introductions. I think we can now start off with questions. Let's go most experienced to least now. Ashwin, I have a question for you.
Yes, Akash.
I wanna revisit some of your previous leadership positions. As a ringleader of the DDMS table, you infamously let one of your members, Mr. Kandikuri, end up in the hospital when he was violently impaled by a hot dog. Where were you to enforce security? And how can we trust you to maintain the stability and safety of the members of the Glen League Ballers?
Thank you, Akash, for bringing up that crucial moment in the Glen League history. Well, we had a miscommunication. So Mr. Williams, he was on my payroll. He's the head of security for the gang. And that day, he was slacking off. Maybe something was going on at home, something with the missus, we don't know. And he wasn't doing his job properly. I looked over a couple of times. At detail, he's knocked out. The hot dog impaled him. It was a big glizzy, right? It was extra large glizzy. So it left a lot of damage on Aditya. So disappointed in Mr. Williams' lack of response there. And I was shocked as well. So I take that on the shoulder. I was shocked at that incident. But speaking of, mismanagement of incidents, we have Mr. Anish here. So I don't know. I don't understand where that question's coming from.
As ringleader, should you not take responsibility for what goes down at your table?
That was the early stages of the gang. Like I said, the security wasn't up to par at those early stages of the Inala syndicate. But now, we're 10, 15 families deep, and everything's under control now. So I'm going to bring that sort of stability into this league. The syndicate will be, part of the Glen League Bar League going forward, and we're going to have, more structure, less crime, less intruders, and just a very fun league.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Inala. All right. Kottu.
Yes, sir.
You have infamously been willing to accept bribes in the past. In October
I'll do it again.
2012, you accepted an offer of 3 cookies to roll in the mud.
Oh my.
How can we trust that you will not be corrupted by an offer of sweet treats?
That is a great question, actually. My past is very checkered. I'll give you that. As everyone knows, I have a fascination with sweet treats. I can't help myself sometimes. I think everyone has those weaknesses. I lately will admit I get the late night munchies here and there. So it's nice to indulge yourself every once in a while, and I don't think that's too wrong. Now, as for that particular incident, I felt in that moment that I was pressured to do something that I would not otherwise have done. The original promise was for 3 massive cookies. Now, keeping this in mind, I was very disappointed that after committing to the bit and rolling in the mud, I ended up with 1 puny cookie, this big, from Mr. Krishna here, who absolutely got his way. Now, in the future, I think I can take my past experiences, my experiences with my indulgences, and put them to a positive plan where, knowing that I have these indulgences and knowing that people are motivated by a variety of different things, I feel like I can make incentives for the league to do well, to do poorly. I understand human behavior, the human mind. You could call me a psychologist. I hope that adequately answers your question. Thank you, moderator Krishna.
So we can trust that you won't be corrupted by any offers anymore. Is that correct?
I would like to yield my time at this point.
Typical.
All right. All right, Mr. Makthal. We know you are very much into Pokemon, but I'd like to warn you that fantasy football is not fantasy like Pokemon. It is very real. How will you be able to handle the real life monsters like Mr. Ganesh when you cannot just trap him in a Pokeball?
Well, that's a very good question, and I'm glad you call that to attention. You see, the thing is, Girish is my roommate, so I am very experienced with understanding his tendencies, understanding what his motives are. I've known him even before this for a very long time at NC State. But I mean, like, not just Girish, like even though I'm technically not within the core RG community, I have plenty of experience dealing with the antics that exist within the members that you see in this league. Several situations with regards to different swindlings from different characters here and there. For example, Brian, for example, Anish, for example, all across the board. I won't get into specifics right now, but I'm aware that although this is done in good spirits, all in fun and games, I also have to understand that we must not let these antics interfere with the integrity of the league. So it is with my best intentions to work in collaboration with my co-league manager, should I be elected, to ensure that things cannot get quite out of hand, and offering this unbiased perspective with no skin in the game of who wins, who loses, and no interest in swindling others in this competition. I feel like I'm the best person to do that job.
How can we trust you're not just a figurehead for the Ganesh administration? I mean, you're living with him.
This is true, but I've never wanted to beat him more in a competition. So I can be trusted not to let that sway my opinions, while also understanding that, I don't know, like, swindling is whatever, but if you do it within the confines of the rules, then I think it's fair game. Got to remain objective here.
A man of strong principles. I like it. Okay, now I will open the floor for audience questions. If anyone has one, please raise their hand. All right, Mr. Keth. Feel free to ask your question.
You're on mute.
Thank you, Akash, for giving me a chance to ask the candidates a question. So, as you know, I'm a member of the press. There has been an air of elitism fostering within the league, dividing those of us with a championship and those without. Speaking as a member of the latter group, I would like to ask the candidates how they plan on sticking up for this majority who has frankly been oppressed by the wealthy upper class. Specifically, I am curious, what will you do to combat the growing threat of the 1%? Those who have cultivated 3 or 4 rings now and don't want the rest of us to make it out of the pit. Thank you.
Great question. Great question, Sujay. First of all, I see you're a Panthers fan. Am I correct? I'm a big Panthers fan. I've been a Panthers fan since Bryce Young. So he's a hell of a quarterback, better than Caleb Williams, And Panthers definitely ripped off the Bears with that trade. That's such a great trade for the Panthers. But going back to your question, I myself can see the misery that you're going through, over the past 10 years, maybe longer. It's tough to admit this, but I haven't had much success in this league. No matter, whether that be by luck or by certain individuals not, upholding the ethics and the morality of the league. We won't get into that, but yeah, so I understand where you're coming from. The 1% does rule. That's why we're going to be tough on crime from day one. Under the Ruda administration, we've seen crime gradually grow up, and without any balance put on that. And like I said, we're going to have mental wellness check-ins. I think most of these issues arise from burnout, people not liking one another, and that's where we're going to have weekly, meetings or bi-weekly meetings so that everyone is on par. And me and Akash, unfortunately, I do have to work with Akash, but as league managers, we can put a firm hold, get a pulse of how everyone's feeling, and see if any bad sentiments are arising. So we're gonna cut it out the bud.
Sujay, Anish, any responses?
Yeah.
Surya, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go ahead. I think that's a great question. Like Ashwin said, I also haven't had too much success, more success than Ashwin, but that's not too hard. And I think it's a very fair point, right? Like we are in a culture now where the rich get richer. It seems like people just stack rings on rings on rings, and it seems like there's a systematic problem here somewhere that needs to be solved, right? So something that I would propose, right, as the forward-looking commissioner here, as a modern visionary of the league, right?
Said that.
I would suggest a form of affirmative action, right, based on franchise success, right? So what would this entail, for example, right? So let's take Gersh's team, for example, a team that has 4 rings. Quite well done, very well done. But something is wrong here. A team like Gersh's team cannot possibly have 4 rings. That man should have -1, as far as I'm concerned, right? There's something really, really wrong here where he's able to stack rings on rings on rings. I think instead we should enforce a handicap on the people who have these rings from the past. What would a handicap look like? Well, let's take a past example. Brian gave up his 5th round pick for nothing. I think that's a very fair handicap. Why not just apply that to everyone who has had a ring before? I think that would give everyone else without a ring a very fair shot.
Interesting.
All right. I think I'll be the first one to call out these claims of rising corruption and crime being proliferated through the league. But these claims are being made by someone who is proposing that he has been a ringleader of a syndicate of a certain institution. How can we trust that these sentiments aren't actually just making way for additional swindling and additional corruption to occur? I studied the trials of Ashwin, and I've come to the conclusion that all the problems that arose were due to the incompetence and the misunderstanding of what the rules were. So it appears to me that in order to curb the rising inequality in rings, the best thing to do is really just to get good and win against your opponents. If you see an issue with not starting a QB, still winning, and then suing your league manager over that, despite all his efforts to help you in that situation, I think that poses some serious issues.
I would like to respond to those unruly comments. This is a clear example of Surya being a puppet master for Girish. These are all the sentiments that Girish shares. So voila, we see a prime example of what's to come with Surya as league manager. And also another thing, in New York, mafias abound, right? when the mafia came to power, we've seen crime in New York go down. So the mafia in itself, the syndicate, keeps everyone in place, right? Keeps structure, keeps order. And that's what we're going to do with this league. So just a quick rebuttal there.
All right. Seems like Mr. Ganesh has a question.
I do have a question. I'd like to thank all the candidates first off for, taking time out of their busy schedules to explain their plans to the league. I had a question, mostly directed for Mr. Inala and Mr. Kottu, since Surya indirectly just answered it in the last question. But what do you guys have to say to, for example, a situation where a fellow manager doesn't understand the rules, a couple of weeks in, mind you, as well, and begs to the league to change the rules just for him? What do you think about that? Do you think that should be allowed if someone requests special treatment just because they didn't, read the rules as well as the rest of the team owners, or what? I just want to know your opinion.
First of all, I find your question very insulting. I wonder which media outlet you're from, Mr. What's your name again? Ganesh? Ganesh? Garish Ganesh? Garish Ganesh. Have you heard that name before? Garish Ganesh. I don't know. Me either. But so Mr. Garish, that rule, it was a new rule, right? It's a new rule, and a lot of people had confusion about that rule. We didn't want to set bad precedents. Let one, owner take advantage of another owner, and now people can get away with, bad things happening or under the table dealings. We saw after that moment that a certain individual got spawned out of the QB spot. We had a certain league owner, Mr. Anish, making side bets with Mr. Wu, right? And we had some illegal betting, and so Mr. Anish on the side used that illegal money to go get players off of the waiver system and use those players to win games. And we had a league manager that knew that this was going on and let it slide. And so that's why we need to set rules up, enforce laws, so that other team owners don't get the ideas that, hey, things can go under the table here.
So,
right?
so to be clear, you're saying that you're for enforcing the rules the way they're written.
Well, that was a new rule, so there was a lot of confusion.
But he just said we should enforce the rules that they're written.
What news outlet are you from, Mr. Ganesh?
Okay.
I'm just asking questions.
Wait, I like to respond also because some accusations have been lobbied my way as well. As far as the accusation goes about the side bets with Mr. Wu, I will remind everyone that this was technically legal at the time. This rule change had not occurred until this past offseason during our league meetings. So everything was within bounds, everything was above board, everything was transparent. As far as the competitive advantage, the only competitive advantage I've received from fab waivers was Puka Nacua on week 1. After that, everything was a waste. And as far as my betting went, I mostly lost all that money. So all those claims are unsubstantiated. Now, as far as whether rules should be enforced as is, for sure they should be enforced as is. There's no real question at the end of the day. If I am voted in as commissioner, I would enforce the rules as is. I think really what needs to change is the way in which we go about rule changes and progress in the league, right? I think we made a lot of progress this past offseason with a great number of rule changes. I think we can continue to make more, and I think we need a better, more structured system that we define for how we go about doing so.
Any more questions from the audience?
I actually had one more, but it was just for fun. We've heard a lot of trash talk between the candidates. I'd like you guys to name one thing you like about each of your fellow competitors.
I guess I'll start off. I want to say I think my favorite football memory has been playing football with Mr. Inala. It produced one of my favorite videos to rewatch. It's that memory of me making a field goal and having everyone kind of celebrate with me in that moment. It was a very special moment for me. And I could not be more thankful to Mr. Inala for capturing that. I want to thank Anish for welcoming me into his Duke friend group and taking me out to dinner and taking me to Frankie's to have a very close bonding time without any other members of RG there. I know it might have been like maybe a little bit awkward, but that didn't stop him from inviting me to that. So props to Anish for doing that. And also actually organizing a lot of cool games here and there, especially the Robbers of Catan League. That was a fun time while I was a part of that. So yeah, I think that's it for me then.
Okay. Should I go next?
Yeah,
I'll
go
go
for
next. Okay, well, I'll start with Surya. I mean, honestly, like I legit have the Secret Santa gift that he got me like on my windowsill. I don't know if you guys can see those. So yeah, that was like awesome, like an amazing gift. I still like, it's obviously still there. So that was an amazing like memory for me. So I really appreciate the effort you went through for that. As far as Ashwin, favorite memory, 100% has to be beating him last year when it really counted to make the playoffs and become division winner, rightfully so. So
Typical Anish response there. But I'll go. First things first. One good thing about Surya, kind of touch up on something you brought up with the football. Surya's a great soccer player as well. Whenever we had our own mini runs, he had the pace he has, the left foot, the right foot. He can go top corner, bottom corner. If it wasn't for his ACL injury, he definitely could have gone D1 and made the U.S. Olympic team and the national team. So credit for Surya for that. And another thing, he has a great head of hair. As an individual, with a great head of hair himself. I definitely love how Surya gels it up and he combs it. He has a nice structure with the point as well. So kudos to that. That can't be taught. You're either born with it or you're with or without it. For Anish, I think we tend to forget that Anish is a trendsetter, fashion wise. Remember going back, he's the first person I know who wore a button up with a V-neck, right? That you could see his chest hair and his nips at the same time. And he would walk around proudly in the school showing it off. And not just that, but also the string shorts. He started the string shorts phenomenon. I don't even know if those are shorts. They're like capris, right? You can see his ankles some days. And then, the holes in the shoes, another thing, right? Started with the niche, right? Then Girish picked up on it, right? Because Anish is a trendsetter. And so, yeah, he's a man that, he should be walking in Paris runways and showing off, more of his fashion ideas.
I appreciate you. That was amazing.
Oh my God. All right. Thank you, candidates. I think we're done with audience questions. I'll give you guys time to ask each other any questions you may have. Ashwin,
I guess I can go first here too. So Anisha, I have a question for you first. As quoted in the Trials of Ashwin, you have been quoted saying, "It's about damn time someone stood up to the patriarchy. I declare my support of Ashwin as adjudicator of GLB to replace the clear corruption present in the current regime." So it appears to me that you have maybe some conflicting ideas of what this league manager position entails, and you're running against the candidate that you have previously pledged support to. Can you please explain what your plans are here and why this flip-flopping is occurring?
Great question, Surya.
That is a great question. I knew that would come up. Very good research, by the way. But I will say, at the time, 100%, the goal has always been to destroy the patriarchy, right? That has always been the goal from the start, and that is why I'm here today. This is part of that journey, right? At the time that I, made that claim, I was under the impression that Ashwin would be replacing the entire cohort that was the leadership of GLB. And so when I was thinking about taking on the patriarchy, I figured that Ashwin might be a better candidate than the random Joe Schmo sitting on the street, right? However, it turned out that what?
By Joe Schmo, you mean Surya?
No, I mean like any like
Oh,
random
whoa,
person,
whoa,
right?
whoa, whoa,
Do you know what a patriarchy means?
whoa.
Yes, I do.
Okay, Arjun.
I'm okay. So listen. Okay. So, however, right, it turns out that Ashwin was the only candidate that was running at the time for this second position. And so in response, we couldn't have both Akash and Ashwin make this cohort, right? So that's why I'm here. I'm here to make sure that we balance out the toxic culture that exists at the top, right? We need to get rid of the corruption, get rid of the unclear rules, the unclear communication, the unclear messaging that comes from this old leadership. We need something new. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I did change my mind and decided to run.
Something doesn't quite add up to me here. So if Ashwin would have taken full control of the league, how does it make sense that you need to be the one in place in conjunction with Akash if you don't trust yourself to be the full leader of the entire thing?
Great question.
Wait, you're saying that I don't trust myself to be the full leader?
That's why you pledged support to Ashwin previously, but now you're running because Akash is. That was your reasoning for saying that you pledged support in the past.
Yeah, my reasoning in the past was because I thought Ashwin might take over as a whole. And I figured it's okay because Ashwin is still better than what was in the past, right? And if he's taking over as the sole commissioner of the league, I think it'll be good for the league in terms of general culture. However, when it comes to Ashwin and Akash in conjunction, right, this is where we need the checks and balances that I think I would bring, right? I think Ashwin and Akash have had too much history together, being Pumas back in 6th grade. I think there's going to be too much of an aligned interest between them. So this is why I'm
You're a Puma too.
No, I was a cheetah, bro. You don't even know. He doesn't even know the history. And this guy is going to be the commissioner. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even remember.
You had Puma
Right?
tenants.
Okay, but
Can't
this is
complain
why
when
we
you
need the
the
fresh
cheetah.
perspective. But this is why I represent the fresh perspective that you also bring. But I bring the fresh perspective that also has the historical backing of being in this league and playing in this league and understanding like what the problems could potentially be, right, and how to improve them.
All right, sounds good. I'm gonna yield my time to save for everyone else. But
Okay, I got a question. This is for both of you. So this is a hypothetical situation. So say there's an individual. His name is Jirish. Okay, his name is Jirish. And Jirish here, you find out that he's DMing owners, right, telling them to not veto one of his trades, right? And you've seen that some of the text messages are very threatening, and they're not good for overall team owner, morale, right? And you know that, okay, you need to have a conversation with Jirish. But Jirish, he's a very irrational person. He's very short-tempered, and he doesn't care about the well-being of his other team owners. So, as league manager, what would each of you do to address this hypothetical person? It's not anyone, just hypothetical individual named Jirish.
okay, I guess I can start with that. So first thing is you need to grow a pair as an individual and not respond to these text messages. Then you can feel free to veto as you wish. If it goes the other way, then that's perfectly fine. The thing is, this is RG. This is the Glen League. Shit gets tough, so you need to be able to handle that heat. And even though I might be an outsider, I definitely understand that. And that's how I would urge everyone to handle that situation. Additionally, I would also like to say to Girish, if he was doing such a thing, that I myself would also kind of like admonish that sort of behavior.
Here.
Wait, what was that?
What?
Moderator, Mr. Moderator?
This is a hypothetical person named Jirush.
I would like to say that this hypothetical person doesn't recall any incidents such as this happening. I mean, that's just my guess. He seems like a great guy. I don't think he would do that, you know?
Okay, that's up to hypothetical Jirish to kind of like mull over and consider. But that's the thing. Like we're all in this league in different roles, and it's up to each individual person to do what's best for them as an owner, and for the league manager to do what's best for the league. That can't be really done truthfully without someone who has no skin in the game. Hence why I'm here.
Okay, I'll go next. I guess. Yeah, quick answer basically is I would slightly defer from Surya's opinion. I think you should be allowed to say whatever you want to get a deal done, and if they get the deal done because of your words, then that's fine. I believe in free speech of all kinds, and I think this is an infringement on our free speech rights as a league. So I think this is something that we should consider very carefully before we move forward with it. I think it's different to force someone into an act than to compel someone into an act, right? By whatever it means. It could be more aggressive, it could be more passive, it could be more incentive based, it could be anything, right? But as long as there's no action being done that's forcing anything to happen, anything's fair game, in my opinion. Okay, my question? Is it my question?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I would say, to both of you, right? What is one thing in the league, let's say rules, right? Let's take a look at the current league rules or league settings. Scoring, rosters, whatever it is. What is something that you would change or propose to change, be a proponent of?
Do you wanna talk about what your answer would be first?
Yeah. So my answer would be as someone who feels like, this is the way that it seems like, fantasy leagues seem to be going. I would be a big proponent of super flex leagues, right? We have the 3 wide receiver slots. I think that's a great addition. I think we could probably go to half PPR for every position, and maybe do 1 point tight end premium. That's fine. But I think Superflex is a great idea because QBs are the most valuable position in football, and they should be treated as such in fantasy football. The drafts will be different, that's fine, but it's just a different meta, right? You just learn the meta, and I think it'll keep things really fresh. So that'll be my proposal. But what do you guys think?
Surya, you want to go?
Sounds good. So I'm ultimately a proponent of experimentation and seeing how things go, presenting different ideas to the league and seeing how they want to play the game, and upholding my responsibilities to what they decide to do. So that being said, I'm not going to spend too much time trying to influence like different ways of like how to play the game, because ultimately this is up to the owners to decide. However, I will provide different ideas here and there. Let's say ideas of, I don't know, maybe adding a punter, ideas of maybe adding a individual defense player. That being said, although these may be radical to some, no one's telling you to actually go with these things. I'm just offering different perspectives. So that being said, this is the league of the owners, and it is the league manager's position is simply about upholding what the teams want to do.
You want to respond, Ashwin?
Yeah, I don't understand what Surya's talking about there, but I digress. All right, so I think a big issue last year was when we have tiebreakers, why are we not doing head-to-head for tiebreakers? Why is it points for? So say I beat a certain individual named Anish, right? I have a tiebreaker over him. within the season, right? Say I beat him like 2 times within the season, but Anish scores more points than me during the year, and we have a division winner, right? And he has more points for than me. He's gonna be division winner over me, even though I beat him twice or had the tiebreaker within the year over him. So I never.
Points for is a more accurate measure of how good your fantasy team is than head to
I mean, that's your opinion there, Anish. I don't like how you're talking.
That's like an objective fact.
For everyone.
They measure everyone on that.
No, I mean,
Every
if I beat you,
fantasy
if I line up in
success
front
is
of you and
measured
go
on
at you
PF.
and I knock you out, right? I beat you. We played 1v1. We played 1v1 and I beat you, and now you're coming back with points for it. You play like a lowly opponent, and then you put in your starters.
Lowly
in the fourth
opponent
quarter,
doesn't matter. That's
you put your fourth quarter starters and
you
run up the
can't say
score.
lowly opponent with PF. That's PA. You cannot mention the opponent. It's all about your own roster and how they score. That has nothing to do with the other opponents. And that's the point. That's why PF is a better measure of your fantasy success.
Not if I beat you head to head.
Record is, that's what the head-to-head matchups are for, is for the record. That's the primary tiebreaker in the first place. If you're tied after that, you want to do another head-to-head based tiebreaker?
No.
Things in his PF dogs.
No, I don't understand what he's saying. Why is he?
What happened? Who is this? Are we getting Zoom bombed? What's going on? But no, Anish, if we have the same record and I beat you head to head, I should be above you.
But if I scored first of all, this is irrelevant because I beat you. First of all,
no, it's hypothetical.
Okay, hypothetically, right?
Yes.
In that situation, PF is still a better measure of how good your fantasy team is over the course of the regular season. That's why by default, every platform goes with PF as the first tiebreaker, because you already have the head-to-head matchups as your, like, that's really like your first tiebreaker, if you really want to call it that, right? You're already doing head-to-head. Doing it again is like redundant, right?
I don't get it.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I mean, like,
yeah,
this is the platform, right? Whatever.
Yeah, we agree to disagree, but that's my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thoughts. Just
okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate the answers to the questions, though.
Yeah, good question.
All right, we're gonna go to concluding statements now. Let's see. Ashwin, you wanna start off?
Yep, thank you, Akash. You look kind of tired, Akash, so I won't go too long. So the MAGA party, we are straight to the point, right? Straight to the point.
What party?
The MAGA party, make a D great again.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I'm gonna be working with you, Akash. You gotta know this stuff. All right. So we're all about messaging, right? So the 5-point plan. I start off with the 5-point plan. First thing, let's go over it. Fight crime, fight corruption. Number 2, we're gonna close borders, right? We have people like Mayur, right? Mayur spent the league. He understood the ins and outs of the league, became league team owner, right? He saw the chaos in the league, and now he's able to vote. And then he could have ran for office, right? And instead of people coming in, not having gone through that and running for the topmost position in the league, not naming names. Number 3, we're gonna open up the FAB office, right? Like I said earlier, we're gonna hire accountants. We're gonna bring in the syndicate to run the FAB department, and we're gonna have clarity and just openness about all the transactions that's going on. Unlike last year with a certain individual. And number 4, mental health. That's very important, right? We're gonna have weekly check-ins, team owners, build a good environment, and have fun again in this league. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna have so much fun that you guys are gonna forget what it's like to not have fun. If you're following. And like I said again, since we're the Make a D Great Again party, we're gonna split up the tasks with running the team website. I think it'd be great. If not, it doesn't have to go all on a D, right? We can update it, all individually, and put our little pizzazz on that website. So that's it from me. Thank you for listening. And I'm looking forward to getting your votes next week.
Thank you, Mr. Inala. Anish, any concluding statements?
Yeah. Thank you, moderator Krishna, and thank you, fellow candidates, for such a lively and good debate. I've grown to respect you a little bit more over the past hour, and I really appreciate this experience. As we again look to the next season, right? We are looking for a new commissioner who might seek to take us in a new direction, right? At the end of the day, we need something fresh, something new, and that's something that I represent. We obviously have two great candidates. We have Mr. Inala, who has had his time in the limelight as a previous commissioner, and has had the experience, but is it good experience? I'm not so sure, right? That's something that you guys have to decide. And we see Surya, certainly with his fair share of experiences running things, absolutely, but certainly not the expert at running fantasy football leagues as your boy. Your boy is running 4 others right now. So I have the experience, I have the know-how. I do this on a daily basis. This is my full-time job. I have 2 jobs. So I hope that I can earn your vote, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Kottu. And to wrap it up, Mr. Makthal.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm just going to echo the sentiment. Thanks to my fellow candidates for the lively debate. This was a lot of fun, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Thanks to Mr. Krishna for moderating, and thanks to our wonderful audience for listening to us and hearing us out. I want to remind everyone once again that while I technically have never played in this league before, that is honestly quite my superpower. I'm the only person who can offer the truly unbiased perspective to the league manager role, and will do whatever it takes to uphold the rules of the league and do what is in the best interest of the collective league as a whole. My platform is simple, and that is to let things ride how the league is meant to be.
Okay, great debate, everyone. We can tell the future of this league is in good hands. Great ideas from our candidates. I think that wraps up today's debate. If anyone has anything to say, feel free to go ahead. Otherwise, hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys.